today. So every day we start fresh because we can't affect the past, but we damn sure can make a difference today.
Welcome to episode 86 of Shop Talk. It's Kari.
And Jennifer.
And we are back to recap 520 of The Rookie and 120 of The Rookie Feds. We saw Isabel return on The Rookie, and The Rookie Feds had a terror attack in the city to handle. So there were intense moments both personally and professionally this week. So it was they were good episodes, I thought.
They were.
I mean, there was a lot going on in each episode as far as storylines or side storylines, but
yeah,
they were good.
Yeah, they were really good. I don't know. The Rookie always comes back from a hiatus and just like slays with the episode. So yeah. We do have quite a bit of news though that we'll start off with. So first, because The Rookie was renewed for season 6.
Yeah.
We're getting to season 6, baby.
Yeah.
There's still no words on The Rookie Feds though, which
I'm bitter about, not gonna lie. I'm so bitter. No, but I mean, I'm still obviously so excited about The Rookie. I just expected them both to be renewed at the same time.
Yeah.
But, you know.
I mean, we're definitely hoping that Feds is renewed. I mean, I feel like it will be because it's done really well with, ratings and everything. But, I mean, it's not up to us, unfortunately. So
wish it were.
Yeah.
Could you imagine if we got to make decisions? Oh God, that'd be chaotic.
That would be more chaotic than Skip, Teresa, Randy coming in, and even Smitty being on The Rookie. Like, honestly, yeah. We would. I mean, there would be no hesitation. We would be like, yes, these two shows get a renewal, and these characters get to interact. Yeah. But like the same day that the renewal news came down, there was just a lot of other things going on.
Yeah. Well, because like the cast was celebrating their season 6 pickup with, so like Melissa started posting first, and then she was covering up the name tags for this other ABC program that the cast is competing on, and it's Celebrity Family Feud, if anyone has seen that show before.
They were on it once, right? Yeah. Or am I thinking it was Eric and Rosalind?
Eric and Rosalind were like with their actual family. But yeah, I mean, lately they've had a lot more TV shows like these past couple seasons, because I've like written about the Celebrity Family Feud, and so lots of TV casts have been on. But it's exciting because obviously the Rookie cast is competing against the Rookie Feds cast. So,
and we didn't know that at first until Kevin came through with a picture.
Literally, Kevin gave no fucks. He was like, let me just post a picture. And then like Melissa was still trying to hide the like name tag on like Eric's jacket and Richard's jacket from Jenna's IG video. And it was just so funny.
Yeah, like Melissa was trying to hide it, and Makia was posting the photos. Jenna was like, they didn't even care. And Melissa's like, no, let's hide it. But then Melissa ended up posting about it. So it was fun.
So I was like, girl.
Yeah. I loved how in her renewal video, like that she did on Instagram stories, Judy from Hair and Makeup was there, and someone else too. And at first I was kind of like, all right, are they just all hanging out? And then when we found out about Celebrity Family Feud, I was like, okay, that makes sense. Like they're getting everyone ready. So
Blame Squad. That's fun though.
Yeah. So we don't know when the air date for that will be, but probably sometime in the summer, just because that's like when they usually do their like fun programming. I mean, not that TV's not fun or TV shows,
but like game shows. Those all come back in the summer. I think it's in July they premiere, maybe, but don't quote me on that.
That's what someone had said. They were like, I hope it's not July episode, but I don't know.
Thanks.
So
either end of June, early July is usually when they come back. So,
but it'll be fun. So I mean, we kind of know the teams. Well, we're speculating on the Feds one, but like on the Rookie one, it's Richard, Jenna, Makia, Eric, and Melissa. And on the Feds, it looks like, it's Kevin. It looks like it might be James, Niecy, and Felix, and then
Yeah.
possibly Britt, based
I mean,
on
I would
her
assume so because her
husband's
husband,
posts.
yeah, her husband Paul like tagged her in an Instagram story from
Mhm.
the Celebrity Family Feud like stage.
Yeah,
So
like audience, yeah.
I mean,
I don't
would
know. I
too,
mean,
but
it would be cool if it was like the core five, but I could also
mhm.
see like Michelle being on there, who plays
Yeah,
Elena, or
that'd be
like
cute.
Davika.
Yeah,
But
they're
yeah.
fun. We love them.
hmm
Yeah.
And speaking of Davika, she actually was on this week's episode of Fantasy Island.
That's right. She was because she
Uh-huh.
posted those behind the scenes photos with Rosalind.
Rosalind, yeah.
Yeah.
I need to watch that episode.
Fun.
I haven't yet, so
I watched season 1 and then I wrote
Mhm.
about season 2. Still
Yeah.
haven't seen it yet. Fantasy Island. So I gotta get caught up on that as well.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
But DGE Press finally released episode descriptions for The Rookie, 521, and 522. And they were kind enough to release the 520 episode description like the day of the episode airing. So that was fun.
Yeah. And the pictures too, because everyone was posting the pictures and I was like, now wait a minute.
There
Like,
was
what
so
is
much
this?
going on
Yeah.
to say. But yeah, so the 521 and 121 for Feds is actually going to be a crossover, and that promo is crazy.
Yeah.
At first when we were getting it like after The Rookie, because it was like all Feds for the most part, I'm like, why are we getting a Feds promo after The
Yeah, I
Rookie?
was very
Like,
confused.
that's weird.
Yeah.
But The Rookie 521 episode description is, well, the episode's titled Going Under. It airs next week, and the description reads, Officer Lucy Chen goes undercover to infiltrate an illegal firearm operation, and Detective Harper and Officer John Nolan work together to solve a mystery involving severed limbs found around the city. So, interesting.
Uh-huh. I hope none of the limbs move. I mean, I know that was like the one from last season or whatever, because the guy
The
like
hand?
made it move. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it like freaked me out. I was like, no more
Yeah.
moving body parts, please.
Yeah. I'm also here for Nyla and John working together more
Yeah.
though. Like, I missed that.
Yeah.
But like, where's Selena? I mean, I guess Selena could still be there and just not like in the episode description, but
Yeah. Well, because they only put out 2 promo photos too for that. I mean 3 in total if you count the one behind the scenes, but it was literally just Melissa as Lucy undercover, presumably.
which I'll take that.
Yeah.
But
No,
yeah.
it's still good, but like, yeah, you don't know any real
Right.
context of anything.
Yeah.
for that one.
And like also, so we saw Angela go on maternity leave in this episode, but like, will we see her at all in 521 and 522? Like, I hope so.
Oh,
But I don't
right.
really
I
know
don't
how they would like
know.
rope her in. Maybe in 522, like she gets a call,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. Well, especially if like Wesley's there still,
mhm.
then he could like kind of, conference
Yeah.
her in or something,
Yeah.
possibly.
Do you want to take us through the 522 episode description?
Yeah, so 522 is called Under Siege, and it's after one of their own is shot, the team suffers a series of close calls and realizes their division may be a target for a group of masked assailants. So people have been speculating that it'll kind of be like like 2-part, or like 521 would end on a cliffhanger or something, then come back for 522. I don't know.
But like, how would that work with the crossover?
That's true. See, I don't know.
Right.
Maybe it's just a coincidence that the titles both kind of
I guess that they
mirror each
could,
other. I don't know.
but I don't understand.
I mean,
how
I
they
think
would.
that was earlier speculation before it was announced that it was going to be a quote unquote crossover.
Yeah, because at that point we had only known the episode titles. So yeah. It'll be good though. The Rookie Feds 121 episode is titled Bloodline. And the FBI takes on a case from the LAPD involving a serial murderer who has been leaving limbs across state lines. After the team follows the lead from Antoinette and Elena's forensic breakthroughs, the killer retaliates against Laura. And that's what we see in the promo.
Mm-hmm.
Kari's not happy.
No, I'm not. Literally, like, bubble wrap her. Why do we have? Because, okay, she got like hit or whatever in this
Yeah.
week's episode, and there was like a little like scratch or whatever, like
Yeah.
bump on her face, and I was like, why we gotta keep beating her up?
Yeah.
Like, what's going on?
I mean, she just wants to like live her life. Like we figured out before we started recording that they're probably having like a housewarming party at her house, like Brendon, Antoinette, Mark, and her.
Or just something, because like I don't know what's
Something.
wrong with me that I didn't put that together. Like, duh, she got her house. They're at her house if she's going to her car
Yeah.
to go drive. So I don't know. But yeah, we'll see. And I'm just realizing now that the murderer who's been leaving limbs. I apparently just blocked out everything
Mhm.
except for the killer retaliating against Laura.
That's
And
all
then,
that you're worried about.
Antoinette and Elena working together, because we actually got like a promo photo of them. So like that was
Yeah.
cool. To see.
I'm
But
excited to see them work together just
yeah.
because we've seen Elena like working with the team,
Yeah.
but it's kind of just like giving information. She's not
Mhm.
like working directly
Yeah.
with them, like on the actual case. So
Oh, maybe that's what like Elena would decide to go into. Would be,
yeah.
you know, like forensic biology,
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
See, like if we get a season 2, we need to know what Elena goes into. We need to know more about the rest of the team.
Yep.
You know, more about Carter's personal life, like
Mhm.
Laura's, Brendan's, I mean,
Mhm.
just everything. So yeah.
And so it was interesting because they posted the Rookie Feds finale description before they posted
Yeah.
the 121, which I guess maybe because it's the crossover thing. But anyway,
They've been doing everything backwards, so
yeah.
I mean, look at
At
them
least the second
releasing
half.
everything the day of the episode.
Yeah. But it's titled Red One, and it's after an internal investigation unit agent is drugged and buried alive in a desert outside of Vegas. The Fed's director enlists Garza's unit to discreetly investigate. Meanwhile, Simone's plans for her 49th birthday bash are sidelined.
I'm intrigued about this one. Because hopefully we have renewal news before then. So like hopefully we're not left off on a cliffhanger. Well, if we are, at least we know that they would be coming back.
Yeah. But like if Brendon's not the one going to try to plan Simone's birthday party, I don't know if I want it. Just
Same.
because they're such besties. Like
yes.
What like how could he not?
I mean, Dina and Brendon could like plan it together.
Oh, that'd be so fun. Yeah. If like
I'd be here for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Like I'm intrigued to like why are her plans sidelined? Are they because of work or is something else going on? Do her kids come back for it? Like I would just love to know more. But it's nice that we do have like all 3 episodes back to back. Like there's no more waiting. Well, there is in terms of like the week in between, but like there's not like 2 more weeks of waiting or anything in between an episode. So yeah. And then Eric and Roslyn released a new episode of their podcast. He said Adiho, so be sure to check that out. It's always fun listening to them. I'm actually behind on listening to their podcast, so I need to like catch up.
Yeah, me too. But, I'm a couple episodes behind.
Yeah. They're pretty short episodes. Like, I mean, so a lot shorter than this episode is probably gonna be. We've got a lot.
We had a lot. Like
we did. I mean, Chenford and Skip, Trace, and Randy. And like we were just blessed in this rookie episode. Let's be real here. Nyla, Angela, all moods. John was even mood. Like we were blessed. So we'll start off with the rookie 520, which was titled STR. And at first I didn't realize like what that stood for. And then I was like, Skip, Trace, or Randy.
Oh my gosh. I didn't realize that.
I mean, I would assume that that's what it stood for, but
I mean, probably because you literally just the way you have it written out, and I can see it like side by side. Like, that has to be it.
So But we'll kind of start off with the Skip, Trace, or Randy storyline because this man is literally so chaotic. Like, he might even be more chaotic than we are at this point. Yeah. But John and Nyla meet up. It turns out Selena was given a personal day by Gray, and Nyla's like, rookies don't get them, but as Nyla says, if anyone deserves it, it's Selena, which, yes, she does. But also, she can come back now because I miss her. I miss her very much, like so much. So John tells her about Bailey's friend, and we'll get to that later. Like, it was a little side storyline. And then Skip, Trace, or Randy calls, and John is just like, decline it, don't answer it, decline the call. And Nyla answers, but asking him if it's another butt dial. Like, she's not even like, hey, how's it going? Nothing. And he's like, I would never butt dial you. And instead he asks her hypothetically when trespassing is a crime. And she's just straight to the point. She's like, it always is. Like, what? Yeah. No, please tell me you're not trespassing. And Randy adds in that he's trying to help someone. And he's just like, I would never trespass, and hangs up. And Nyla's like, I hope to never find out what that was about. Mm-hmm. And so John then like asks Nyla for a surefire hangover remedy, and she's just like, pickle juice, and that's it. Like, that's all she gets out before her phone rings with another call from Randy, and she just doesn't even answer with a hello or anything. She's just like, what now? Like, what are you calling me about? And Randy's like, hypothetically, if a person did end up trespassing and found a dead body, a murdered body actually, and Nyla's just like, do not touch the body. And he goes, this is where I just like started like laughing my butt off. He goes to get up, he slips, falling in the pool of blood. He's got like from his hand to his forearm like covered in blood. And he asks her what to do if like he fell in the blood, but then the police bust in. So they meet up with Randy and the detective who's like booking him, and Nyla wants the case, but the detective's like, this was the easiest case ever, easy solve. Like, no, I'm taking care of it. And Nyla and John are just like, well, he didn't do it. We had been communicating with him like all day. It was just a case of wrong place, wrong time. And so Nyla's like, in exchange, I'll take something else off of your plate, like another case that's been giving you grief. And so he tells her about no-ho-do, which is basically a torso that was found in a vacant lot with no definitive cause of death, no witnesses, and no way to ID the body. So that's a tough case. So the detective like agrees to everything and gives them Randy's case along with no-ho-do. And Nyla and John just want to know all the details that Randy knows. And then Monica comes in and stops Randy from sharing. Apparently like, he's her client.
Why? Like, when John was like, she's your lawyer, I was like, same.
Yeah. I was like, really? Out of all the lawyers in LA, really?
Yep.
But it turns out that he helped her track down a few hard to locate witnesses, which I'm sure were related to Elijah Stone, because why wouldn't they be? I mean, maybe. We don't totally know like the full extent for what she did for Elijah, but so Nyla tells her that they're treating Randy as a witness in this case, like they just want to know what he knows. And Monica's like, great, but I have to be present while you question him. Nyla's not happy because remember her last interaction, she was like, you stay out of my way. So everyone's in the interrogation room. Randy shares that he met the woman who hired him in a bar. He gives them the name Emily Johnson, and it turns out that she told him she was being stalked by Nelson Frisk, and asked if he would scare the bejesus out of Nelson, as Randy says.
And he was like, I don't know who Jesus is, and that's what got me. I was gone after that point.
Wasn't he like, isn't he like in the sequel or something? I'm like, oh, Randy.
Yep.
Oh, Randy.
Yep.
So he like showed up at Nelson's house. Turns out Nelson was already dead. And so we find out more about him. Turns out he's a day trader with a side hobby of being an internet troll. And so they get confirmation that he can send, that Randy can send them Emily's phone number. And so Nyla's like, great, go home and stay out of trouble. Randy obviously wants to join them. And Monica is on Nyla and John's side, which I kind of found surprising. And then I was like, but they're not actually treating him as a suspect. So, you know, she has nothing to be annoyed with them about. So Nyla tells John that the number Randy gave them for Emily was a fake, and basically her name could be a fake too. And so she wouldn't have wanted them to track them down like through her online communications. So the question remains, like, why involve Randy? And Nyla's just like, it could be to create reasonable doubt and like frame him. So Randy calls again. This dude's not at home. Instead, he's kneeling down by a dead woman, and the police arrive again. And he just tells Nyla and John, he's like, I'll see you guys at the station.
Mm-hmm.
And so then Randy's just trying to help find the real killer. John emphasizes that if he finds a lead, all he has to do is text them. And they know that Emily's real name is Ariel Reiser, and the uniforms found like $5,000 in cash on her property. So it is looking like someone paid her to frame Randy. But the question is, why him? And was he just a patsy, or does the killer like have anything against Randy? So Randy's like, great, I'll get a list and start looking through Nelson's social media. But again, everyone's just like, no, you stay home. And so later in the episode, like Nyla can't find a connection between Nelson and Randy, and Nolan can't either. So Nolan's like, I did make a list of everyone Nelson was trolling, and finds an accountant named Brian at the top of the list. And so turns out that Nelson like hacked Brian's deceased wife's clip talk and like sent taunting messages, but he's got an airtight alibi. So the next on the list is the chef in Venice and the gym owner in Hollywood. And like Nolan has to walk away because he like Smithy came up to him or whatever. And so Wesley ends up confronting Nyla and just asks why they haven't arrested Randy yet, because he's been found at two murder scenes. And Wesley's like, the DA is just, you know, like, it looks like it makes it look like Nyla took the case to help a friend. And Nyla's comeback is hilarious. Like, this woman is a whole mood throughout this entire episode. Like, not even just with the John stuff, but when she was talking with Lucy and everything. And so Wesley tells her that if they don't make some headway on a new suspect, like the DA is going to go over Nyla's head. So Randy calls John, and turns out that he found the killer, and he's in the trunk of his car. So Randy like combed through Nelson's social accounts and like came to the same conclusion as John. And Brian is the prime suspect, except for the airtight alibi that he has. But obviously Randy didn't know that at the time. So like he went to Brian's house to gather evidence, and then ended up hiding in the trunk of the car. So they find the car, like flip on the lights, pull him over for quote unquote swerving over the double yellow line. And Nyla's just like, have you been drinking? He hasn't, but she gets him out of the car. All while Nolan like gets Randy out of the trunk. And when they're in the clear, Nyla just like lets this guy go. And the dude is like so confused. So when they're like in the clear and the guy drives away, Randy's like, cool, like, you know, this was such a thrill. And he's like, so am I going home now? And Nyla's like, no, because you cannot stay out of trouble, clearly. So you're going to stay with us. And Randy then, like, this entire moment was a whole, like, just mean. Randy's like, cool, when will I be issued the safety weapon? And John just face palms, and he's like, oh my God, no, like, this is not happening right now. Okay. So Nyla and John are then talking about Randy's Venn diagram. Randy like walks over to them. He's just kind of like irritated a little bit because he's just bored and everything. And so he gets a text from his friend Cooper Logue, who owns the gym. And it turns out that it's the guy that Nelson doxed for sexting his employees. So he texts Randy the skull symbol, like, which is just the symbol for death. And he texts him multiple times. He's like threatening him, and Randy's like, oh no, like, we play pickball, this is normal, like, I crush him in all the games or whatever. And Nyla and John are just like looking at each other, and they're like, this is not what he thinks it is. So Randy catches on Cooper is the killer, and Randy's like, I know where we can find him, but they don't have any hard evidence. So Randy's like, well, make me the decoy duck, like, I'll get his juices going. And John's like, no, just be yourself. Like, that'll get him to like kind of incriminate himself. So they go to the pickleball court, and Randy's ready. He's walking out in his short shorts. That part got me. I was like, what is going on? And Cooper ends up getting him in a chokehold. They arrest him. And then at the end of the episode, we see Randy in the hospital with his arm in a sling. And Nyla and John tell him to stop taking jobs that will put him in danger. And he's just like, he starts to like kind of get one over on them. He's like, oh, but first, like, I've got this case. And they're like, really? And Randy's like, nope, I'm just kidding. Like, no big, I'll keep out of trouble. And he's just so chaotic. Like, I do hope that we get to see him again, but yeah, I don't know. He just brings the chaos with him. So yeah, so that was kind of it for the Skip Tracer Randy stuff. I mean, not much. It was like the second big storyline though. So yeah. But next we have Chenford, because I mean, really, they were like the star of the show at this point in this episode. So and these pictures again dropped the day of, and we were all collectively losing it. And then we were like, wait a minute, there's more to come in the episode. So Chenford is making breakfast together in the beginning of the episode, and they're being all cute, kissing, and Tamara walks in. And I'm just like, girl, I love you, but stop interrupting Chenford kissing time, please.
I think it's funny. Like, I don't even mind. I just think it's funny.
It is funny. It definitely is.
Do it. So.
But yeah, so then Tim's face as Tamara like pulls them away from each other is a whole mood. Like every single time. He's just like, really? What is happening right now? And I also have a question. Where's Kojo? Because if Tim is basically living at Lucy's now, I mean, he still has his house, obviously, and Kojo's probably there. But like, is Tim going back home to visit him? Is there a dog sitter? Does Jenny and the kids have him? Like, where is this dog? And why is he not there?
Yep.
I mean, we saw that Lucy could have the dog at her apartment because she had him there first. Like, I need to know. Also, Tim making like the salmon and eggs for the dog, and then pancakes for Lucy and then Tamara coming out. Whole dad move right there. Dad move. So then Tamara was like, yeah, I was gonna sleep in, but I smelled the pancakes and that woke me up. And also whole mood, because like I do the same. So when Tamara asks if she wants pancakes, like he knocks on the counter. Again, whole dad move. Lucy's just watching him, like all happy and everything, and whole life move right there. I mean, they were just like found family goals right there. And so the doorbell rings, and Tim's face is hilarious because he's just like, oh man, like he totally forgot that Isabel was coming over. And so he didn't tell Lucy. And so she handles him telling her last minute, like really well. I mean, what was she going to do? Like say no, she can't come in? Like at that point, she's already there.
I mean, she could have. It's her dang apartment for crying out loud. But it's Lucy, She just kind of goes with the flow.
And he's like, yeah, I meant to tell you like after he got out of the shower, but then I got in and things went, places. And I was just like, Chenford did things in the morning in a certain spot, confirmed. Like, that's all. That's all that I needed to know. At this point, I was like, oh, we're really not surviving this episode, are we? Like, we're really not. But then Tamara like breaks them up again and answers the door. And she's like, you must be Isabel. And so Isabel like shares that she's been sober for a few years. Tim and her like go to sit on the couch. Tamara asks Lucy if that's the Isabel. And we saw like the sneak peek. And Lucy just like quiets her down, and Tamara's like, gotta go do some research. And so Tim asks Isabel if everything's fine. She's like, yeah, I'm okay, but I just need your help. And so she starts to explain the situation to him. Working the UC assignment, like she knows all about the family that she was infiltrating, or he knows. And so she mentions that 10-year-old daughter Dara, and she kind of took her under her wing. And so Isabel's like, after we arrested the dad, I left and scattered to like leave that identity behind and not get made. And so just kind of went on to the next case. Like I didn't hear from her in 8 years, and then was forwarded a message from her. And she's like, Isabel's like, I figured Dara just didn't know who else to call, but, figured she'd reach out. So we hear the voicemail, and she's like, Dara's kind of like freaked out. We hear tires screeching, and Isabel's like, I've done everything I can so far, like going, through her socials and everything, but like can't go knocking on doors because of my cover. And so Tim suggests like her going to the station, they'll get a warrant for the phone and they're gonna find her. So Isabel like tells Tim that it's weird to, be back at the station. Tim recognizes her, that like reminds her that it's under better circumstances. Smitty, of course, like this is one of the few times that we had seen Smitty in this episode. He welcomes Tim back and recognizes Isabel. And she's like, "You're back? Like, why'd you leave or whatever?" And I guess I didn't really realize that Isabel worked at that station too.
Well,
But like Angela and Talia knew about her. But I mean, even then, Tim could have just told them.
yeah, I don't know though, because like she had said different. Like I'm remembering the season 1 episode when Lucy first met her. She had said, different divisions. They were on separate shifts.
Mm-hmm.
And they tried to sync up as much. I mean, well, I guess it still could be the same station. I guess I just don't really realize how many divisions are out of one place.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I was just kind of like, wait, she did work in that same station. Okay. So Isabel like questions the lead. He tells her about the shooting. He even tells her that Lucy thinks that he should be meditating. They laugh and everything. And I saw some people talk about this online, and like, I honestly think that it was innocent. Like, I don't think they were making fun of her.
Yeah, no, I didn't really either. People had opinions though, my goodness.
Uh-huh.
Which is totally fine. I mean, I can kind of understand how they could see that. I personally just thought it was more like they were laughing because at the thought of Tim meditating. Not that it was Lucy's idea, but just at the thought of Tim, not that he's an impulsive person by any means, but he's also not very calm or one to do relaxing activities.
And like Isabel doesn't know who he is now. Like he's definitely made a 180 from his from the first season, and she knows him from the first season and before that, as like kind of like a hard ass and everything. And Lucy has seen him kind of like soften his shell a little bit too. So I mean, they're kind of seeing like different Tim. So I could see why she was like laughing at that, thinking, really, like this guy was a hard ass before, like, and he probably still is. Like him meditating would be silly, but yeah, I don't think it was like anything that serious. So then we see Nyla like walking up, seeing Tim and Isabel, and like she sits down at Lucy's desk, and Lucy asks if she's ever worked with Isabel. Nyla's like, nope, I've heard of her, but never worked with her. And so Nyla's just like, are you okay with her being back? And Lucy's like, yeah, like it's fine, no big deal. Tamara then comes up, spills all the details of what she's found, and Nyla's reactions the entire time are great. Like this woman doesn't even have to say anything. All she has to do is like react to things, and I'm just like, this is everything that we need. And so Lucy still insists that she's fine, like everything's fine. And Tim's interviewing Dara's Uncle Ed, and Lucy and Isabel are, watching from the viewing room. And she tells Lucy that like she never liked him, and he used to talk directly to her chest, but she didn't do anything like, because she needed her to like him to like keep, keep her cover. And so Ed's just like, I haven't seen Dara since the day before. And he asks what friend it was that gave Tim the information. And Ed doesn't know of any place that Dara would like to hang out at. And so he thinks this is just some excuse to jam him up. But Tim's like, no, it's just a welfare check. Tim then brings up Dara's dad and him getting out of prison, asking what his relationship with Dara's like. Ed's like, there is none. They're excited about having him back. And Tim circles back to his business, asking if there's any chance that they could be connected to Dara's disappearance. And Ed's just like, she could just be sleeping one off at a friend's house. Like he totally tries to like shy away from saying anything about Dara. And like, so Tim gives Ed his card just in case like he hears from Dara. And Isabel then suggests to Tim talking to Frank, who's Dara's dad, like, and see if it's all one big happy family, like Ed says. So they're then sitting in the roll call room. She's asking him about Lucy, and like he's flipping the script too. She asks him how long they've been together. And then he's just like, well, are you seeing anyone? She's like, yeah, on and off though. But you set the bar really high. So then like Frank FaceTimes with Tim, and he didn't know about his daughter being missing, and he's not really in contact with Dara. But he asks if Tim talked to Ed, but Tim's like, Ed didn't know anything either. So Frank's like, I don't know where Dara would go when she's upset, but questions like who would go after her. Tim points out though that like he's made a lot of enemies, and it could be someone trying to get to Frank through Dara. And Frank's just like, just find her. So Isabel questions like how long it is until Frank makes the call to Ed, and Tim's then radioed like right away, and they've got a tap on the call. So Ed's trying to talk him down, but Frank is not happy. And so Isabel's like, Ed's a professional liar. Like he might not know where Dara is, but he can lie easily too. And so apparently he once had Frank convinced that someone had greenlit a hit on him. And Isabel instantly thinks about the hotel and brings that up, that when Frank thought he was greenlit, he told Isabel to take Dara somewhere safe while he dealt with it. And so they stayed in a motel by the beach, and she could possibly be there. And so we like cut over to see Tim and Isabel kind of staking out this motel. She's giving him more context on their time there, eating junk food, swimming in the ocean, etc. They do talk about their marriage and like where it went wrong. But Tim's like, well, if that escape is why Dara would be here, like, he asks if that's why she would be there. And Isabel's like, I'm not sure, like I could be projecting, but this is worth a try. And Tim tells her that like she'll need backup because she's not an active cop or whatever. And so Lucy's on her way. And Isabel, this is kind of where like, I don't know, I wasn't shocked, but I was kind of like, I'm glad that someone said it. And Isabel's like, I can't believe that after everything I put you through, like you're dating another UC. And he had the right reaction at this point, I felt like, because he was like, yeah, but Lucy's different. Like, I can't believe it either, but Lucy's different. So Lucy walks up to the car, Tim tells Isabel to be careful. She's like, you're always the protector or whatever. And so it's nice to see that has been a trait that has stuck with Tim, like through everything, even before the rookie started. So Lucy's wired up, receivers in the car, and they go through Lucy's backstory that they can use and like say where they met. And so Lucy tells Isabel that she was hoping to pick her brain a little bit, and they have like a cute like girlfriends moment there, with Isabel like shushing her and reminding her about the mic, and because Tim's listening, and all of a sudden the mic cuts out, and Isabel's like, you want to know all my cheat codes for dating Tim? And Lucy laughs, and she's like, no, I got them all figured out. I actually just wanted to know about your time undercover. And Lucy's a little starstruck, I mean, as Lucy Chen is. And, she's like, I just want to know, like, if undercover work was worth it. And Isabel's like, I can't answer that, but I can tell that you have much healthier coping mechanisms. And so she does tell Lucy some things will weigh on her. And, like, there are some sacrifices that she has to make, but it's not all bad. So Lucy and Isabel get a call from Tim, who's asking about the wire issue. They get it fixed and everything. They see Dara, and Lucy is just like, babe, we gotta go. And I didn't catch the babe at first. I saw it like all over Twitter, but I did not catch it. So they go up to the hotel room. Dara's kind of surprised to see Isabel / Nikki there, and she didn't think she would actually show up. And so she's obviously wondering who Lucy is. And Dara's like, how do you know each other? Lucy, who is Amber undercover, mentions the sit in Chowchilla. So Dara's like upset that Nikki left, mentions that everyone else gets to leave and she gets left behind. Turns out that she called the old number because her dad's getting out, and the night before she heard her uncle talking about taking him out. So Tim obviously hears that, calls Gray, lets him know what they just found out, and then also tells them that they'll need backup because 4 shooters just arrived. obviously calls Lucy, gives her a heads up. They start going over their game plan. Isabel needs a weapon, so Lucy gives her the backup piece. Dara's freaking out because she's like, what is going on? Who are you guys? Who is Tim? And Isabel blows her cover. And Lucy's face, like, I don't know if it was very much of a like, what the heck are you doing? Or very like, or you're doing the right thing. Because it was kind of like in between of like, really, you're doing this, but also like, this isn't really the time. And so Dara feels betrayed. And so Dara starts running out. The shooters start firing. A whole shootout occurs. Tim, Isabel, and Lucy are all like taking these guys down. And so at the end of the episode, Tim and Isabel are talking about Dara. They hope that she's going to be okay. Lucy comes to tell them that Ed Tesco was found dead in an alley. So Isabel's like, I'll go tell Dara, like, and it's like, so when she's talking to her, she's like, it's vital that you don't tell anyone that I'm a cop because it can put both of us in danger. And so they have a sweet moment where Isabel like tells her that she was looking out for her and taking care of herself too. And she tells Dara about the uncle, and Dara's relieved. She's like, Ed tried to kill me, but Isabel's like, I'm pretty sure that the police think that your dad actually ordered the hit. And so Dara's not going to be there when he walks out. She's going to disappear for a while, figure out what her life will be. And I don't know, I made this connection on my second watch, but I was like, Dara's kind of like Tamara, but for Isabel. Like, in a way, like she's kind of the puppy that Lucy got with Tamara, right? Like she kind of took her under her wing. I mean, it was obviously a different scenario too, but
yeah, I guess I just didn't really think of it. She kind of reminded me of the one girl that had a crush on Nolan, the one like CI person that I can't think of her name from like season 2, I guess. I can't think of the name, but
the girl that had the crush on Nolan.
Yeah.
Was it in the first half of the season or second?
First.
I feel like I remember that, but yeah, I don't remember the name.
But I don't know, but that's just off the top of my head. I didn't really.
The actress did look familiar.
I didn't think about that connection, but
yeah. I don't know. It was kind of like a loose connection, but I was like, oh, she's kind of like, I mean, Isabel took her under her wing. Lucy's taken Tamara under her wing. Like they're kind of like, I don't know, like younger siblings or something in a way. It's a very loose connection, not very well thought out, but I kind of like drew the parallel. So like Chenford gets home after a long shift. They sit on the couch. It's all cute. They talk about her undercover work. And Lucy's just like, it was nice to get to know Isabel. And Tim just wonders like if that's what they were doing when the mic was turned off. And Lucy's like, no, we were talking bad about you. And Lucy shares that she loves working undercover, but has never went as deep as Isabel has, obviously. And Tim thinks she's worried about it and that she won't be able to handle it. But she's actually worried about that he won't be able to handle it. And he's just like, I'll be fine. Like, do your thing. And so they cuddle on the couch and it's literally everything that we've always wanted. Like people were saying it was straight out of a fanfic. And I was like, it really is. So yeah, but that's about it for the Chenford stuff. I mean, I'm assuming Eric has said in cameos before that like we're gonna see angst for them in these last few episodes, and with her going undercover next week, I'm sure there's way more angst to come. So heck, maybe even in the final episode of the season, like who knows? So
lots of people are hoping for the
I love you.
the 3 words that everyone wants them to say.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of thought so too. Well, I was like, Tim had sat down first, then like looked back at her and I was like, something big is coming, it feels like. But I mean, that was still big that came, but yeah. So next we have Angela. She just had like a little bit of a storyline. It was honestly just to like kind of send her off. But Angela's at her desk trying to pick up a pen that she dropped and she can't get it. So she's like, the pen lives on the floor now, which whole mood.
That got me like as soon as that happened, I was like, okay, they're gonna do something great with
Uh-huh.
with her.
Yeah. So Greg comes up, he grabs it. He's like, you can start your maternity leave at any time, which I feel like he kind of said the same thing to Nyla. Or maybe it was Angela before, like for her first pregnancy. But
Maybe.
I also just love that they carry out the pregnancies on this show. And they like work it into the storyline. They don't like hide them behind files and they're like, oh, why is she like holding all these files? Why is she behind these desks or whatever? But Angela's like, there's too many open cases right now. Like, I'll start in a couple of weeks. And so he asks if she's sure she's okay. And she just starts telling him everything that's quote unquote wrong, like her bathroom breaks, her pain, the lack of sleep. And so Aaron's like walking by, just minding his own business. And Gray calls him over and makes him Angela's personal aide until further notice. I did not know that I needed this duo like on their own until I had it. And I was like, this is everything. More of this, please. So Aaron thanks him, and Gray's like practically running away. And it's just like, don't thank me yet. And so Aaron's like sunshiny about helping, and Angela's like, first thing is antacids. She needs more after having like almost a whole bottle since she got into work. And Aaron's just like, he keeps trying to spew facts, and all Angela has to do is just give him a look, and he's getting more antacids. And so then he asks if she needs anything else. And at first her answer is no. And then she's like, I need some canned meat. And Aaron's like, will that help with the indigestion? And she's like, she gives him another look, and he's just like on it. And she's like, get a cherry soda too. And he's on that. So they're like walking around the station later in the episode. They've got the interdepartmental meeting next. And she's been looking forward to it all morning because it has comfy chairs and donuts, which, yes, queen. And when Aaron's like, well, you could just buy yourself donuts, she tells him that free donuts always taste better. That they do. Like, again, whole mood. And so the meeting has been moved upstairs, and they have to take the steps, obviously, to get up there. But then as I was watching it on the second go, I'm like, well, they have an elevator in there, so why not just take that?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I was like, dang, why not use the elevator, guys?
But they just wanted the steps like as a funny storyline or whatever, or like a funny like bump in the road. And so Angela's like attempting to go up these steps. And at first I was like, she's milking this, like, because she knows that she can get Aaron to do anything. But then watching her go up these steps, I was like, no, she's not totally milking this. And so Aaron's just like, how about I grab you a donut and FaceTime you during the meeting since you can't make it up the steps? And Angela's like, great. So then later they're walking down the hall. He's briefing her on this guy that like she's about to interrogate. And he was suspected of attacking his boss with a bat. And so they need a confession. Angela's the woman for the job, clearly. And so this guy claims that he didn't do anything. Angela then gets up. It's a whole like montage of her like talking to him, getting up for the bathroom, getting a cherry soda, food, like even almost falling asleep. And Aaron just suggests like even calling someone else to take over. And Angela's like, I got him right where I want him. And so right as she's getting up to go to the bathroom, like for the umpteenth time, he confesses, and he's just like, I just want out of this room. Like, I did it. Just get me out of here. And so she's like, great, I'll go and get the papers now to get your statement. And Aaron just calls over the like intercom, and he's like, how about I get them? So Angela like sits back down, pulls out beef jerky stick, and she's just like looking at him. And just like, this woman is a true queen. Like, can I be her when I grow up?
So funny.
So at the end of the episode, Gray is waiting for Angela outside the elevator, like arms crossed, like his kind of stern face. And he's there to escort her to the car. And she's like, yeah, but I just want to finish up some paperwork. And Gray's like, no, you're going home. You're going to stay home. And I don't want to see you back here until you've had that baby. He told Nyla that, like something similar to that. Because she like went to the station in like her PJs or something last season. So he tells her to like let Wesley dote on her, which she deserves it. And also I want to see that. I want to see Wesley just like giving her like everything. And so before she leaves, she's like, I gotta go to the bathroom and get another snack. And Gray, this might be the best one-liner of all time. And just the way that he said it, he was like, you live 5 minutes away. Like, you can't wait. It was so good. It was so funny. So, yeah, that was kind of the Angela stuff. And then we have the Bailey stuff, which wasn't much. And honestly, I mean, I love Bailey, but honestly, I feel like we could have done without the storyline. Like, it did not add anything to this episode at all.
I just didn't understand. Well, and I definitely didn't understand the end of it either. But
yeah. I was like, we just didn't really need this. I don't know. I feel like they've done this a few times with Bailey where they're just kind of like throwing her in to the episode, like for the sake of it. I think probably because Jenna's a regular or whatever. But it's like she doesn't need to be in every single episode. Bailey, not Jenna. Like, I would love to have Jenna in every episode, but Bailey doesn't need to have a specific storyline. Like, why can't we just have her in like we had Wesley, where he just like came in, said the one thing, and like dipped? I mean, we don't need to have her in every single episode, like having a storyline, but I digress. So John wakes up to find Bailey in the bathroom, not doing so well. At first, when I saw that, I thought something completely different than like she was hungover. I don't know why, but I did. I was like, I don't know about
like
that.
the other reason, like another reason for getting sick, you mean?
Yeah. Like, I thought she was like pregnant or something. And I was like, no, I don't see that. But I don't know. That was just like where my first thought was.
I mean, honestly, yeah, same.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting the hangover.
Yeah.
So
then Bailey was like out the previous night drinking. Her friend's in town, and her friend like wants to party it up because she's got kids at home, and she's like living her best single life, quote unquote. And so like, it's every night that they're going out, Bailey's just like, I just don't think that I can keep doing it. And she tells John what they're supposed to do later that night, and John's like, well, just tell her that you don't want to go. And Bailey's like, I can't. So it turns out that Libby is staying with them. She comes into the bathroom. She asks if she's ready for a run. And Bailey's like, yeah, let me just like take care of something, like put on some clothes. And because she was in the clothes from the night before. And so we never see this run, but John's like, you look like you are in no shape to run. And Bailey's like, just hold my hair back. And so then like, it was like towards the middle to the end of the episode, we see Bailey and her friend at a coffee cart that has a liquor license. And I'm like, isn't it 10 a.m.? Like, why are there no? And so Libby is meeting up with this guy that she's like been chatting with online. Apparently her and her husband are not like doing well. So Bailey agrees to this and is staying with her, only because she doesn't want to like be on the hook for anything bad. And so Libby wants margaritas, and I'm just like, it's a coffee cart. Like, no, get some coffee. So like Smithy then comes over to Nyla and John like in the middle of the episode, and he tells them that Bailey's there, and John's like, oh, she's in reception. And Smithy's like, no, she's in holding. Like, she was brought in for being drunk in public. And so John like enters a holding cell, and Bailey explains what happened. And the guy that Libby met up with turned out to be a creep. She started throwing fists and like ran when the cop showed up. So I'm assuming that Bailey, like, I don't know, just was kind of like just helping her or something. They never really explained it, but I was like,
for it.
Yeah. And so then John's phone rings, Randy's calling, like, kind of goes back to the Randy storyline. And at the end of the episode, Libby's leaving early and wants to talk to Bailey, but like doesn't know how. And she thinks that Bailey might have a drinking problem. And Bailey just suggests taking the next year off from their like get-togethers. And once she leaves, Bailey grabs a glass and the bottle of wine and just like has a drink. I was like, what is the storyline? Like, why are we doing this?
I mean, that's where I was like, I just like threw my hands up. I was like, what? Like, I'm sorry. Libby thinks Bailey has the problem? No.
And like Libby was like, I don't know how you're managing with all of your different jobs. And I'm just like, so was this just another way to bring up like all the different jobs that she has? Like, I just don't know.
I mean, Bailey was a whole mood drinking straight from the bottle before pouring the giant glass. But I didn't understand.
Yeah. Yeah, I was like, I don't know if this whole storyline was really needed. Like, John had a storyline that like served him. We didn't need to see him like with Bailey. I don't know. It was just odd. And it felt like it wasn't gonna lead us anywhere into like the next few episodes. So I was like, again, like I could see if it was leading us to something, but it wasn't. So I mean, all it really told us was that Bailey loves wine, which I feel
And
like
she
we
needs to get
already
better
knew. So
friends.
yeah. But yeah, so that was about it for the episode. I mean, it was a long one, but
Mhm.
yeah, we had a lot going on. So
Mhm.
we do have some listener thoughts though. Do you want to start us off with the first one?
Sure. So Mindy had said it was such a good episode. Angela's pregnancy complaints were so relatable, and Aaron was a sweetheart. Mindy loved seeing this other side of Isabel and how much she cared about Dara. And she said Randy was easier to handle in this episode than his previous one. Oh, well, see, it's been so long.
Yeah.
I can barely all I can remember is just the fact that he hid in the coffin the first episode and then
Mm-hmm.
he hid in the trunk. So whenever he gets freaked out, he goes and hides in the most unusual, unhelpful places.
We need to do like an episode recap of Randy's episodes. Like watch them both again and just like highlight his most chaotic moments.
Mhm.
Yeah. I mean, shout out to Flula Borg who
Mhm.
plays him because I feel like no one else could do Skip Trace or Randy justice. So
So,
yeah, it's amazing. Joycelyn had said the rookie was funny last night with Randy and Lopez's pregnancy. The rookie feds was very intense, and I think that was one of the best episodes of one of the best season one episodes of Feds. Yeah, definitely. We'll get into Feds in a minute, but yeah. So
yeah.
yeah.
Elle, who's at Lou Brook 22, said loved the Chenford scenes and domestic/family opener, but also all the character duos in this episode. Lucy and Isabel, Angela and Aaron, Angela and Gray, Nyla and Lucy, Nyla and Nolan, Samara and Nyla. All the actors knocked both the comedy and drama out of the park with this episode.
Yeah, there were a lot
For
of
true.
character like duos.
I didn't even realize all of them
Same.
until I was listing them out.
Yeah, it was good. I loved it. Blessed Turtle had said, first of all, what does STR stand for? I've been racking my brain all day and have nothing. I think it's Skip Trace or Randy. I mean, that's the only thing I can think of.
That's the only thing that makes sense.
Yeah. Because like sometimes they'll say it, or I notice Feds at least says that a little bit more in the episode, but like sometimes they'll say the episode title, like in the episode, they'll work into the dialogue, but they didn't for this one. So, I mean, I would assume it would just be a Skip Trace or Randy. And so they also said the return of Randy was everything I hoped for. It was hilarious. Also, I loved the little subversion from the writers making us think that the storyline was going to be some compelling, like who done it, only for it to end up being a simple revenge plot. Absolutely great.
Mm-hmm.
Nolan and Harper together in this episode really made me miss their season 3 dynamic. Those two are always a comedy goldmine together. That they are, and we need more of them, please. And so they also said Thorsten and Angela were an unsurprisingly great duo together, and that entire scene of Lopez getting the confession using her pregnancy had me in stitches. And they said, finally, there's Chenford. Their cute little pseudo family opening scene with Tamara aside. I'm glad they finally got the ball rolling on addressing the costs that Lucy's UC work is going to have on their relationship. It's a miasma that's been hanging over them for a while. And what a better way to begin addressing that than Tim's ex-wife. I love it. She did not sugarcoat the realities of this line of work to Lucy. And I love her for that. To me, that means she's rooting for them by giving Lucy as much info and advice as possible to help her avoid hurting Tim the way she did. At least that's my interpretation. They also said Tamara was a damn treasure in this episode, being the little chaos demon that she is, and I love her so much for it. That we need more of Tamara, please. I mean, I know that she's busy with her music, which like her latest song is amazing. But and then they also said overall this was a great episode. Solid 8 out of 10. My only criticism is of Bailey's storyline, which was unnecessary in their opinion. Yeah, I don't disagree. So, I mean, the episode was like a 10 out of 10 personally, but yeah, I mean, that Bailey storyline did just seem like unnecessary. It didn't go anywhere. So, yeah.
And Janine had said she understood Isabel coming to Tim for help, but she didn't exactly like Tim sharing personal info about Lucy with Isabel, especially with the meditation reaction. And Janine had said for Isabel to say that Tim raised the bar too high for her to be happy, she's not sure if that's, you know, exactly the best thing to say, to like put someone on a pedestal and then compare them to your past, which is, I just thought it was interesting that she said that. And Janine said she thought it was bold of Isabel to assume the reason Lucy wanted to talk with her was about cheat codes for dating Tim. Yeah, that's true. Although I liked Lucy's response of like, oh no, I've got Tim figured out. Like that kind of, I thought, solidified how their relationship is different.
Yes.
Anyway, but Janine had also said the proof is at the end of the episode when she told Tim that she loves UC, but she's more worried about him while she goes under than herself. And so Janine said that you could see that Tim loves Lucy, but he's worried about her. And Janine said she loves Tamara, but let Chenford have their kiss moment. And she wishes that maybe Tamara would go to school to become a cop because she thinks she could be a very good detective in the future. I've seen other people say that too, or just say like Detective Tamara Collins incoming, you know, with all her like sleuthing about what Isabel's been up to.
I mean, I would think like with her being around Lucy and like the other cops and stuff that she would kind of think like, oh, maybe I should like look into this as a profession. But I don't know.
Yeah.
Be interesting. I would love to see Tamara and Elena like hang out and kind of like talk and see, cool. You know, I mean, their friendship would be great. I don't know. I feel like the rookie and like the feds teams have to be like running into each other more. They're both in LA, but they're kind of like on different playing fields, right? So maybe they aren't, but like, are they running into each other at like the grocery store? Like,
I mean, at least Brendon like Lucy and Brendon. Yeah. It's like they had to keep up their sort of friendship.
Yeah.
Sort of, you know, Lucy fangirls over him, which can't blame her there. Yeah.
And like Simone and John are probably like running into each other. Being besties.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. They cracked me up. Sorry, Janine, we got a little sidetracked. She also loves Angela and she was great, and Aaron looking out for her and his facial expressions during their scenes were priceless. And Skip Tracer Randy is a favorite of hers. And Janine swears that if something's gonna go wrong while they're investigating, Randy will sure be in the center of it. Sure. Yes.
Yep.
Agree. And she loved how John literally called Nyla out saying, don't answer the phone. And Nyla was a badass, and that was one of the best parts of the episode. And Janine could have, however, done without the Bailey side storyline.
Yeah.
So those were all the listener thoughts for the rookie.
Yeah, that's about it for the rookie. So we could move on to the rookie feds unless we have any more notes. I mean,
I don't think so.
Other than Chenford's adorable, and we're getting the season 6. So yeah,
that and like the breakfast scene really made me want pancakes. Like pancakes were mentioned, donuts were mentioned. I was like, Now I just want breakfast food at like, you know,
Yeah.
8 o'clock at night. That's
Yep.
fine. Um,
Like pancakes. I
mhm.
want those now.
Yeah.
But yeah. So
Yeah. So for the rookie feds, it was titled I Am Many, which was definitely you could tell why it was titled that. It was said throughout the entire episode.
mhm.
And we'll start off with the uh inmate on death row and the sort of cult that he led. Um and it the whole like the I guess beginning part prior to the title card was you know, having Foster Mills, who's the inmate that's scheduled to be executed. He's reciting his, own deviant views of scripture and sayings and everything. And while this is happening, a drone is buzzing around a San Francisco office building and it's releasing a poisonous gas and it almost instantly killed 6 people. And so um his execution is in 36 hours. And when like after the title card comes back, Garza's already in Idaho apparently, which is where he's located, and he's ready to talk to Foster. But Garza tells Simone that the jet is actually going to drop her off in Idaho as well because he needs her wild card ways to keep Mills off balance. And this was part of the sneak peek that we saw.
Mhm.
Yeah. And so, I mean, I'll get into the Brendon and Antoinette stuff later. I guess I should have prefaced with Laura came in as they were talking to tell them about the terror attack and that Antoinette's also coming with them
Yeah.
to help out. And so the rest of the team, which consists of Brendon, Antoinette, Laura, and Carter, are still going en route to San Francisco to investigate the drone attack. And when they arrive, they want to get in there and kind of dissect the drone essentially, but they were like, no, we can't do that until the CDC decontaminates everything. But Antoinette offers to go in because she has had extensive training in dealing with hazardous materials, and that's why Garza wanted her to come in the first place, was to see if they could figure out what kind of biological weapon was used. And poor Brendon being the worried boyfriend, slightly. I thought that was,
Mhm.
I mean, definitely a Brendon thing. Because he was like,
Yeah.
well, you don't have to do this. And she's like, well, you don't have to go running after, gunshots, but you do.
Yeah.
Um,
He spins out a lot about like her,
yeah.
as far as like not knowing a whole lot about her or
Mhm.
this. I'm like,
Well, I think that might have been part of it too, just especially in this episode, because he
yeah.
was like, okay, I already don't know this, and now she's gonna do this, and we still haven't, resolved this conflict, kind of thing. Because like even Laura was like, you can step away, and he's like, no, I'm good, I'm fine.
Mhm.
And he's just like silently freaking out a little bit. Um, but I just thought it was cool that Antoinette got to use her like science skills a little bit.
To like help them in the fields. Yeah.
Yeah. hmm I thought it was like total girl boss move. Loved that.
Mhm.
She manages to discover that while the drone itself is like a standard issue model, there's a modification that was made to like have for the gas canister to be in there, and that could be distinct enough to lead them to find like who bought that
Mhm.
or where it was sold from. Um, but in the meantime, her best bet on the gas that was used is hydrogen cyanide. Uh, so it kind of, during this episode, it cuts back and forth between the California and Idaho locations. So
Yeah.
in Idaho, Simone has arrived and, um, is kind of, I thought it was interesting that she was a little bit not nervous, but just, because she was telling Garza on the plane, like, I know what I say about, Black girl
Mhm.
magic, but it has its limitations. So I thought that was kind of interesting because usually she's very much like, okay, I got it. Like, let's go.
Yeah.
But she does take a first stab at talking to Foster Mills, but he kind of in a way like keeps his distance at first. He's hesitant on sharing any of his reasons for these attacks, or well, the first attack, I guess. Kind of saying that the why or the how and the who, that all of that doesn't matter. Like at first all he wants to know is about the scene that they found in San Francisco. And Simone's like, well, why don't you tell me about it? Since he's the one that kind of was the mastermind behind it all. And he's not budging. And then in the meantime, it eventually cuts away again. And there's another attack, this time in Dallas, where 4 people were killed in an elevator. We saw that a woman was the one that deployed the gas and then spray painted "I am many" across the doors, which is, Foster's main tagline, I guess, for lack of a better term. And so in light of this other attack, the prison guards are, tearing Mills's cell apart and trying to look for how he's communicating with his followers, because he doesn't use the internet. He's had no visitors. He doesn't have any incoming or outgoing mail. There's no phone calls, like absolutely nothing. But Simone does pick up the book that he's been reading about, was it like Capitalist America? I didn't catch the full title of what they said it was. Like something about, how the American or totalitarian society works. And so that kind of leads her to, well, her and Garza go to the prison library and see what other books Foster had checked out over the last year. But there's no hollowed out pages or notes in the margins or anything like that, which this gave me 211 flashbacks a little bit, because they originally
went to
that
prison.
the writing, that, and then they found the writing in the one book or whatever that they had to decipher. Anyway, so there were in this case no notes or anything like that. It's not until the prison librarian, whose name is Campbell Marsh, comes in and actually yanks a book out of Simone's hands and causes it to rip.
And he's not happy about it.
No, he's not. Yeah, and that's when they find a numerical cipher scribbled in the spines of the books. And they continue to rip out the pages and see that there's more messages. And this is how he's been communicating with his followers while he's been imprisoned. And before that, they barely take 2 steps towards Campbell to confront him about it. And he cuts his carotid artery with what I don't know. And basically bleeds out before they can get anything more from him. So that was nuts. I was like, that was my first oh my God moment. I was like, what? Yeah. And so the rest of the team is back at the office, and they're tracking Campbell's communications, and they're cross-referencing that with the list of sales that Antoinette had gathered earlier. And they come up with one matching name from that information, and that's Donald James. And so then we next see Donald talking to the woman from Dallas, which, okay, if she had a name, I don't know if they ever said it, but according to the IMDb page, her name in the episode is Brooke. So for the time
I just know her as the mom from Big Time Rush.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's funny. So I will be referring to her the next few times as Brooke, because that's what
I think they probably said her last name more than
maybe
her first name. Yeah.
Anyway, so they're talking on the phone, and while he's on the phone, he hears the police siren. So he attempts to flee, but Brendon comes in with the tackle before he gets very far, which, I'm like 99.9% sure that's where Kevin's behind the scenes thing
Mhm.
came from with the stunt double. So that was fun. Oh my gosh. Okay, and then this was my second oh my god moment because it's Brendon and Laura are interrogating him. Carter's watching from the other side because he's with the senior agent in charge while Garza's in Idaho with Simone. While in interrogation, Donald eats a piece of his eyewear, causing the same kind of poison effects as the San Francisco victims, like foaming at the mouth. And like Brendon and Laura are like frantically trying to, stop this from happening.
He had a quick reaction with that. It was like, oh my God.
Yeah, well, because he broke off a piece or whatever,
Mhm.
and then like kept putting the glasses in his mouth, and I was like, dude, stop, this is insane.
Yeah.
But it turned out he had like cyanide in the eyewear. So there's another member that's died for this cause. I just was not expecting it to be so. I mean, I guess with like cult and things,
Mhm.
it is that serious of a, warped faith that they believe in, to follow these leaders
Yeah.
to their untimely ends. But it was just interesting to see it like in a fictionalized way, I guess. And so while the rest of the team continues to work on the case, Matt is sending Simone home because she's had one hell of a day. I thought it was so freaky that like she had the nightmare about
Uh-huh.
Foster, and I was like, I thought it was legit for a sec though, because they made it
No,
seem
same.
so believable. I was like, now wait a minute, how in the world, would he be in the house?
I thought it was legit too, and my heart just dropped for a minute. I was like, oh my God, there's no way that this is happening right now.
Yeah. But it, scares her awake, so much so that she decides to grab the jet and go back to Idaho to visit, quote unquote, the devil. And I thought it was hilarious that she calls Garza after the fact and she's like, so I kind of did this. Don't be mad. And he's like, not gonna be mad as long as she can get something else that can help them stop the body count from rising. So she tells him that she's gonna try to come at Mills with this, I don't know what else they call it besides like a strength approach, since she thinks that he's weak because he's basically gotten his followers to do his dirty work for him. And so that's kind of the approach that she's going to go in with. It cuts back over, again, lots of back and forth in this episode. Back at the office, Laura, Brendon, and Carter are trying to figure out how in the world Foster's followers began to communicate with him in the first place. And a little bit earlier, we had seen Laura watch an interview, like a news interview with Foster. It was the only televised thing he did while in prison. And she was using it originally to try to build a profile on him, but now they're wondering if that interview could hold like key words, key phrases to help them figure out the address or the web address and the password of the dark website that they found from Donald's computer. And so they continue to rewatch the interview and the I think it was 1 John 19. If I'm wrong, someone can correct me. I was doing this from memory after I'd watched it. But the Bible verse keeps coming back up. So Laura wonders if there's something in that to kind of break this thing open. And it does, but they still have to figure out the password. And so after they tried to enter just like Satan, that doesn't work. So Carter suggests typing it in the original Greek, which I'm assuming it's just like Satanas. Like, I don't know. I'm saying it with like a Spanish accent because I don't know Greek. And so, but when Brendon does type it in that manner, they they have managed to get into the dark web page, and there are apparently 6 other targeted attacks in major cities like Kansas City, Chicago, etc. Like set for that morning. So now they have to basically stop them all before, any more people get hurt. And I was like, it was like, I don't know, maybe like 40 some minutes in or something. And I was like, okay, they got about 20 minutes of airtime to wrap this up. So I didn't really understand how they were, like, where it was going with this. But it was kind of a montage effect in a way, because we heard Carter and Laura on their phones, presumably with different FBI headquarters. And then it cut over to them. They're all in we still don't know what the heck to call the room with the giant screen and the many chairs.
If we get a season 2, can we have an official name for that?
Yeah, aside from
Like,
the lecture room, because that's not what it is at all. It's not a lecture
No.
hall. But that room, and they're calling out when each new attack has been thwarted, and they managed to check them all off the list. So thankfully, there's a little bit to kind of celebrate there. Although
I loved that moment.
yeah, that was like everyone, you could hear like the actual happiness that in people's voices, but of course that doesn't last long because someone, even though we see it's Brooke, is logging in from another location and delivering a new message saying how vengeance, is going to be sought. And that message is coming underneath the banner of Los Angeles. So that is kind of their new task, is to figure out what in the world that's about and who that message is targeting. And in the meantime, back in Idaho, Simone does manage to kind of, I don't know, make Foster angry enough to spill his guts a little bit more. Just enough to say that, those who sinned will be punished, those who defied him will pay. No one's safe, even from the grave. And I assumed that's that part was the extra clue that they needed to kind of get from him, because he was originally put into prison 18 years ago for disseminating anthrax, but only 2 of the, I guess, hits he put out were successful, for lack of a better word, and one of them was not. And the one person who was spared from it all those years ago was a woman named Renata Schmidt. And so
that was the mom from Big Time Rush. I got it mixed up before. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Interesting.
Random, but yeah.
And so the team that's still there in California anyway, track her down while she's at a spa. And here I was thinking, oh, this is good. Okay, because Laura's on the phone with her telling her to get to the lobby, and like the towel trick that Brooke tried earlier didn't work. Nope, I was wrong, because here the woman comes again, back with like a knife or whatever, like slicing slicing Renata up. And I was like, holy shit, like what is going on? But she manages to kind of escape into a, I don't know, like cordoned off area in a stairwell, and is kind of hiding behind, I don't know, like a bin or something. It's kind of like a under construction area, and is hiding from Brooke, and Brooke's like 2 steps away from kind of getting her, but Laura gets the jump on Brooke, and after a small scuffle, Brendon and Carter show up, and Brooke's taken into custody. So back at the prison, Simone announces to Foster that they've got Renata, she's okay. So all of his attacks have been thwarted, and his followers just went from many to none. And it's this man's execution day, and he still manages to spout off his warped version of scripture. And I loved how Simone, though, is basically like, wait a minute, I don't have to listen to this anymore. And so she, gets to leave and fly back to LA. And so the team's kind of gathering amongst their desks and having a last convo of the day. Simone's hoping the cult dies with Foster because he's officially been put to death. And Carter wonders if he'll be kind of seen as a martyr who, kind of died for the cause. And Laura adds that in her experience profiling cult leaders, the movement kind of fizzles out when the leader dies, and the remaining people usually go on about their lives. So hopefully that's the case.
Yeah.
With that. But that was kind of it for the Foster Mills storyline. And then we had a couple side storylines with relationships, which were good. They added a little bit of levity in with all the deaths that's happening in that last storyline. So we'll first start off with Cuddy and Ruth / Simone and Dina. And
this was funny. This was a good storyline.
It was so funny. So after the title card, the episode shows Cuddy attempting to sneak back into his own house, mind you. I'm like, dude, this is your house. Like, why are you trying to be, all whisper and tiptoe and all this stuff? But like,
and it's not like Simone's like 14. Like, she knows what you're doing.
Yeah, but it's like, you do you. Like, that's fine.
Yeah.
But anyway, he's attempting to sneak back in after his night out with Ruth. And Simone does catch him. He's like, go on, do the walk of shame. That's fine. So I thought that was a funny moment for them. Apparently things between Cuddy and Ruth are getting pretty serious, and he mentions that they may end up moving in together. And Simone's happy for them, but wonders if that means she will see Dina more often, which, given how things ended between them, that could be awkward. And then Dina's actually the one that calls Simone when she's first on scene at the prison, and mentions this like dinner get together thing. But Simone's like, I'm out of town and can't exactly make it. And Dina's kind of like, oh, of course, like kind of, another excuse, even though it's like legit because of her job. I'm like, what else is she supposed to say? Like, oh, I'm sorry, I can't make it. I'm at this prison. Like, no, like she's trying to keep it light, I think.
Well, I'm like, I mean, even Carter had said before, like, she can't tell people where she is a lot of the time, too.
Yeah, that's true. I'd forgotten about that. Yeah. And so when Garza ended up sending her home that night, though, she does walk in on the dinner and apologizes for forgetting. But you can again tell that things are awkward between her and Dina at first, because Simone didn't think that their breakup was messy, yet Dina did, and she like just like little not even jabs or digs or anything, but just little like they just saw absolutely everything differently than the other did in this episode. And obviously Cuddy and Ruth know that there are tensions between them, and so they managed to pull one over on them, though, and get them into staying at the house to work out their problems while they're gonna go out to dinner instead. So like the whole entire night was just like this ruse to get them to work their stuff out.
Cuddy's a real one for that.
Cracks me up too, because they were like looking back like over their shoulders as they're just walking out the door, like they don't even care. And so they do get to talk briefly, and Simone's wondering if things could have ended differently with them, and Dina mentions that they still can. I think this was the collaged photo that the Fed's account posted, I think. And so, they end up hooking up, and Dina stays the night, which is when Simone had the nightmare, and she's like, I gotta go back to Idaho. And I just love the way that Jessica delivered the line. She's like, what's in Idaho? Like, she's like, Dina's like half asleep, and she's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah. Go for it.
And later on, well, the evening of the second day, that literally didn't make any grammatical sense. The next evening, there we go, that's better. Simone returns home to see Ruth and Dina are there with Cuddy, and they're all getting ready to eat pie, which also, again, then I wanted pie. So all the food mentions in these episodes.
We went from breakfast to pie.
Yep. Fair.
In a matter of 2 hours.
Yeah. And Ruth and Cuddy decide to go on the patio, right, to eat theirs. And Simone and Dina talk for a moment, and she kind of, is acknowledging she kind of made excuses the last time they tried to make this relationship work, but she felt that she needed to prove herself on the FBI first. But now that she's kind of done that, she needs to have, some semblance of a personal life to add in with the professional part of her life. And Dina kind of wonders, oh, maybe you don't need a relationship right now. Maybe you need a friendship. And this is when Simone suggests the friends with benefits solution, and the two are seen sneaking off together while Ruth and Cuddy kind of wonder where the heck they are, which I thought was humorous as well. Yeah,
I don't know. Like, I love Ruth and Cuddy together, and I love Simone and Dina. And I think I put this out when I was tweeting last night, but I'm like, okay, if the two couples happen or continue to happen, like, I don't know how will it be, because it's like mother and daughter are dating father and daughter, and to me that's,
oh good,
I don't know, it reminds me of like Lorelai and Rory dating Luke and Jess and Gilmore Girls. I'm like, how is this kind of working? I mean, I guess that was like uncle and nephew, but still.
Oh gosh, yeah, I guess I didn't really think of it. I don't know.
I mean, I'm sure that it could, but to me it's just like weird. I don't know. But then I don't want to give up those two couples. So I'm just kind of like, I'm willing to look the other way.
Just see how it pans out.
Yeah.
First, maybe.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah. Well, because Cuddy and Ruth were like, oh, we're not gonna, move in together just yet, because they both like their own space. So maybe it's kind of, not that they're like breaking up by any means, but maybe it's, like we'll see a little bit more of, Simone and Dina or something. Of course, hopefully if they get a season 2, maybe that could, be something to be like fleshed out more. Yeah. And our last little relationship side storyline was Brendon and Antoinette, who were absolutely adorable, and just Antoinette was like sassy, and I loved it.
Yes.
She
also, did her dress have like a big slit going up the side, or did I just like see that wrong?
Oh gosh.
Because I thought that I noticed it, and I tweeted
the dress
it,
in the
and
photo?
I was
like from
the dress
vlog?
in like the jet.
Oh.
I think she was wearing it all the time.
Oh, right,
but...
that's true. You know what? I think it might have been, because I remember posting that behind the scenes photo that Davika had posted when she was on the jet with James. Or, well, the jet. The stage. And I think the I thought it was a skirt at the time. I didn't realize it was a dress. But yeah, I mean, it had a cutout thing. Yeah,
she was sassy.
Probably.
She looked great. I loved it.
Yeah.
I'm really liking her more the more that we're seeing her, and Brendon. Yeah,
that's great. And so we start with Brendon bringing her coffee, and she's working on something, and when he asks what that is, she mentions that she's looking at paint samples for her duplex, and he's like, you don't have a duplex. And she mentions that they're for one of the properties that she rents out, so she's a landlord, and Brendon had no idea of that, which I thought was funny. And later it's mentioned about this gossip blog post, which is they had showed the second scene with mentioning the post. This was like the first scene when they initially mention it. He mentions that there's this, gossip blog post about the two of them having dinner. And, since there's a photo of Antoinette, where you can, like see her face, everyone's wondering who, Vampire Cop's mystery woman is. And she's like, okay, so like, let them wonder. That's fine. And Brendon explains that that's not how it works. The internet sleuths will track her down, and find out things about her. Like she was the top goalie in the French Hockey League, and she was once questioned about an art theft in the Louvre. And I just love again how she delivered the line. She's like, "Those are both true."
Yeah.
Like she did, just kind of trying to be, innocent about it, but matter of fact at the same time. And so, Brendon being Brendon, he's still wondering about all these things that she didn't share with him. And so when he drops by her lab again later, he mentions, he's like, maybe when I had said about, not taking that hockey scholarship and how that was my biggest regret, maybe that would have been prime time for you to mention, your hockey accomplishments. But she just kind of like essentially like shrugs and just is like, I didn't really see the point. She just didn't, I mean, not that she didn't care, but she was just like, I'm kind of doing my own thing. Like she didn't really feel like she had to reveal every single thing about herself, in that time. And poor Brendon again is like, okay, well, what about the art theft? And Antoinette explained that her boyfriend at the time did decide to steal an art piece, and but he was dangerous and ambitious, and that's what she liked. And I thought it was absolutely hysterical how she was kind of like reminiscing in like this almost fond way. I don't know if that's the right word, but just and then you can just see Brendon's face get more and more like contorted and just disgust. He's like, why is this happening right now? Yeah. And later, see, when they first showed Laura sitting at the table, I thought it was going to be something like completely case related, but no, it's literally just Brendon coming up to her and is still hung up about the things that he didn't know about Antoinette. And it's not like he just found out that she likes cream in her coffee. It's things like, oh, her ex was a thief. And
I love how Laura's always just like casually just sitting somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah, and she sympathizes, although she does mention that Renee guy, which I guess was Antoinette's ex, was like, he was something, and Brendon's like, that's not helping. And so I don't know, so like those kinds of scenes, I was like, okay, if it's totally just platonic, like that's fine, because they're hilarious together regardless. Yeah,
I wonder like if Brendon like felt slightly threatened by like her previous relationship, because like this thief was like to be dangerous, and maybe he feels like Antoinette's like totally like not settled, but just kind of like totally changed how she is, and maybe like that's due to him or something.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. I mean, because Laura had kind of even, brought up, instead of being jealous, then, try to like, meet her on her level and do something, unexpected, unpredictable, etc. Brendon sort of takes her advice in a way, but in his own Brendon Akers way.
Yes.
And we see Antoinette find a note for her to like meet him in the parking lot, and it turns out that
doesn't she have to like follow the path of like rose petals or something?
Oh yeah, that's true.
Like it's so cute.
Follow the path.
It's adorable.
And he has a goal set up, and they're gonna, battle it out in a hockey competition. But instead of points each time, well, I love how Brendon just assumed that he was going to make a lot of goals. He was like, because when, each time I make a goal, you're gonna, you can reveal something that he didn't already know. And it literally cuts to her blocking every single shot he took. And I thought that was great.
Yeah.
But she caves and says that she'll give him the 3 points. Because it showed 3 shots that he tried to take, and because it was a great thing that he did for her, like setting up this whole thing. And they're just the cutest.
They really
I
are.
just love them. Like, oh my God. And I'm so excited to see Mark back next week too, even though I'm not going to look forward to him being the worried boyfriend.
Yeah,
But,
because we see that shot of him and Brendon like looking at something
at
and they look
something.
horrified.
I mean, but anyway, yes, but Brendon and Antoinette are adorable. And we win because we got hockey Kevin.
After we literally talked about it last week of just wanting to see Kevin or of wanting to see Brendon play like any sport.
Yeah.
Go to a sport game, literally anything.
Yeah, but now they can though, because like if Antoinette, is like super into hockey.
If they both like hockey, I mean, let's go. Yeah. Let's go.
But I mean, I think we talked about this before we started recording. That I just thought it was so funny that they put Davika and all the pads and like all the bulky things, and she's this tiny little person. But sure, let's put her in the full goalie uniform. Yeah. So I just thought it was great.
I loved like their little banter during it all. I was like, can we see more scenes like this for them? Like, I don't mind him like kind of spinning out, getting like a little freaked out because of like what she's doing or whatever. I mean, that just adds like a little angst to their relationship or whatever. And we see that Brendon is a little like insecure and like unstable like that. But I would love to see more like cute moments like that for them. And like we never actually see their dates. We only ever hear about them. So like, I would like to see a date. I mean, they could go to a Los Angeles like Kings hockey game.
Oh, is that what the team is? Yes. Yeah, I don't know hockey. I don't follow hockey.
I literally just Googled it. Same. I knew that LA had a hockey team, but I didn't know what their like name was. So thanks, Google.
Awesome. But yeah, I just thought it was so cool because like Kevin's got a couple, like IRL storylines for his character in there. So yeah. But yeah, I mean that was it for the rookie episode.
This was probably one of my favorites. Like I could easily follow it. It wasn't like too heavy on I mean, it was heavy on the case, but it wasn't like case lingo heavy, It wasn't like a bunch of jargon.
Yeah, I mean there were just a lot of cuts, so like back and forth, and I was like, oh, okay, we're back in California. Oh, okay, we're in Idaho again at the prison. Like, so, but I mean, I understand
it makes that hard for outlining.
Yeah, but yeah, no, I mean, like overall though, yeah, I thought it was a really good episode and like high stakes, but still a good. You had the action part, then you had the lighter relationship moments.
Yeah. I thought it was interesting how they were looking for suspects, but like they zeroed in on the terrorist. It wasn't like they were hunting him down. They were like looking specifically for the people that he was teamed up with. But yeah. We do have one listener thought. Laura G had said the hockey scene last night. Oh my God. That was my favorite scene of all time. She's a big Kevin Zegers fan too. So
good. Everyone should be a Kevin Zegers fan, honestly.
Everyone should be a Kevin Zegers and Brett Robertson fan. I'm just saying. Their friendship is amazing. He like for her birthday, he had posted on his Instagram story and he was like, love you, B-Ret or something.
Oh my God, it is. I just love because like she calls him Kev too, because like she's like commented stuff.
If we somehow don't get a season 2 for the Rookie Feds, can we please get Britt and Kevin either casted in something else together and have that go on, or just make more appearances on the Rookie? And they can still like keep up their Feds appearance but like we obviously won't have the show.
Yeah.
But no, we're manifesting a season 2 for the show for Feds.
Yeah. I mean, because the likelihood, because Kevin and James both worked on Rebel together. I mean, they didn't really share any scenes on that show, but then they were both cast in Feds, so it can happen. The actors from other shows get cast on things. So.
But we're manifesting season 2 because they've done really well with numbers, and they have a good like backing, like a good franchise universe behind them. So here's to a season 2. Hopefully we're manifesting it. But do we have any other notes on the Rookie Feds other than we love Brendon and that it was a good episode?
Still just protect Laura Stenson at all costs next week, but that's next week.
Yes. Yeah.
Next week
next week it might be an even longer episode, honestly. We'll have Lucy going undercover and Laura Stenson getting hurt. Like, no. I don't know. I like that, but I also don't like that. So we'll be on the edge of our seats though until next Tuesday. But you guys can find us on Twitter at the Shop Talk Pod _ or email us at shoptalktherookiepodcast@gmail.com with all of your thoughts. You can find us individually on Twitter as well. I'm at jstark804.
And I'm at Kari Hyman.
And we're also on TikTok at the Shop Talk Podcast _ we do have a TeePublic store. They're always having sales, so be sure to check that out. And if you liked this episode of Shop Talk, please leave us a rating and review. It really helps out the podcast and helps other fans find us. And we'll be back next week covering the 521 and 121 crossover. Probably I'm sure that it's our last crossover of the year, of the season. So I wonder how many crossovers we've had for the Rookie and Rookie Feds in just this season alone. Not counting the backdoor pilot.
Okay, I was gonna say, I was like trying to count that one.
And I would
say
at least ones
3
that they
others
promoted.
At least 3 others. That I can think of, because there was the one in the fall. The January one when they came back. I guess I'm counting the one where you like actually see Brenson on the Rookie more, even though they didn't actually promote it. So I guess maybe 2, unless I'm missing one.
Yeah, because I'm thinking of ones that they haven't promoted as like a crossover. It's just like, like Laura's showing up or whatever.
Yeah. Because we had like Angela and Wesley on the Rookie Feds Thanksgiving-ish one, but that wasn't a crossover either. So
yeah, that wasn't heavily promoted. I think they just put that in the episode description. So
so
we should count it up though.
2 so far. This makes 3, unless we're wrong, which we might be. I don't know. It's 11 o'clock over here for me. I'm lucky I'm still functioning.
I don't know. It seems like it's been quite a few crossovers, but then again, like they're still ironing it all out too. So but I don't know. It looks like it could be good just based on the episode descriptions and promo. So until then, have a good week, everyone. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Go get 'em, boo.